So it was
You're
my
making
fault.
this more
It's my
complicated.
fault.
Just would like to note that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The control room was disgusting. Were you in it?
No.
Yes, you were. You were the mom. In the
Oh,
grocery
yeah,
store.
my back. I forgot about that. No, they were like stalactites of like calcium
deposits coming off
out.
of vents.
Yes.
True movie magic.
Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and a resume that spans some of the world's largest brands, if you love learning about filmmaking and storytelling, you've come to the right place. On each episode, we discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from the last 20 years, giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the archives.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on Retrospect from the Archives. This is our in-house podcast where we dig up projects from the past and analyze them and discover all the different ways that we solve problems, both creatively, logistically, all the things that are involved in filmmaking, which there is a lot. And joining me today is Caroline Rice,
Hello.
creative strategist, and Tayler Burks, my wife,
Hi.
creative development director, writer. You guys both do a lot of the same stuff. Lots
We
of
do.
True. Dream team.
Woo!
lots of ideation going on.
Which is so fun.
Yeah, it's very, very important for everything we do. So we're going to talk today about a project that we started in the beginning of 2024 and finished at the end of 2024 for one of our favorite clients, AAON. If you don't know AAON, AAON is a air conditioning manufacturing company that's based in Oklahoma. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and they create the best air conditioning units that money can buy. Before I start digging into this project, why don't we watch the trailer for the project?
It was never a question that I was born to be a criminal. I ran with the best of them from a young age. I was transferred to what they refer to as modern-day Alcatraz. But you know as well as I, being here was my goal all along.
Big fan of your work. Thought a journal would help keep you productive.
The air ducts were my way out. All I need is a tool. That'll do.
I'm thinking something custom.
Well, AAON units are highly configurable. We even have burglar bars.
That'll do.
So, pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
Makes you want to watch it. Feels like a movie.
for sure.
We tried to make a movie.
Yes.
Let's take this.
Try. We nailed it.
We made a movie.
We made a
Well,
movie.
it's not 2 hours long, but yes,
That's right.
it's a mini movie.
A
We
mini
made
movie.
a mini movie.
A short film.
So let's take this in order, and why don't we start at the beginning? Now, Caroline, obviously you work very closely with AAON. All things that they're doing are in your brain at some point in time. Take us back. When did this thing become a thing?
Well, Jeremy texted me and sent me this like newspaper article about an inmate who had successfully escaped prison through an HVAC unit, and he was like, LOL, this is hilarious. We have to do something with this. And I totally agreed. I was like, this is awesome. It just fell into our hands. He had read it from some like HVAC newspaper or something. And so we started our wheels were turning. I talked to Tayler about it. And at first we were thinking, oh, maybe we just do like some funny social media ad skit-based sort of thing. And then we were like, well, maybe we think bigger. Maybe because actually AAON had come to our short film premiere that was like 2 months prior to this. We'd shown a handful of short films we've done over the years. And they were like mesmerized, loved it, went on and on about it. And so I think we were like, okay, what if we did a short film with AAON because they love that so much? Let's take this idea and do that. And so that was kind of the onset of this project.
I love that. So Tayler, at what point did it come to you? in some way that was realistic for you to start thinking?
I think pretty early.
Yeah.
Like Caroline just sent me the news article and then came in and chatted with me, and she's like, so AAON has this crazy idea. They want to create a short film out of this news story. And I think I didn't really know where it was going to go at that point. But in the midst of that, we were actually doing a book club over The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. Right? Yes. And I was like, well, maybe I'll apply some of the principles that I'm learning in this book to this idea that AAON had. So I got to dip my toes in pretty early.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us? Now, obviously, the trailer gives us a decent amount of information, but tell us what this story more or less is. Give me the plot.
Okay, so it's about this guy named Bobby Dolores Jenkins, and he is a professional heist man or criminal, and he has this dream to kind of set this record of doing something that has not been accomplished. And he lands on breaking out of a high security prison. He goes through kind of all these ways that you can break out of prison. You kill someone, you do a terrorist attack. And I was like, I don't think AAON will really want to show that in a short film. So another way to get transferred to a prison that I did a lot of research, the FBI is probably tracking me right now, but is if you break out of other prisons. And so Bobby gets this idea to break out of other prisons, which was kind of perfect because we got to highlight some of AAON's competitors in those moments. And then he lands himself in this high security prison with this warden named Gertrude Cunningham. And him and Gertie kind of have this showdown where Bobby's planning his escape from this prison that had never been escaped from before, and Gertie's tracking his every move. And so that's kind of the premise of the story. And the question is, will Bobby succeed or will he be shut down?
Have to watch to find out.
So we're going to leave that cliffhanger there.
And that's the end of the podcast.
You need to go hunt this down and watch it. So let's dive right into pre-production a little bit and maybe dive into production some. So, I mean, the pre-pro of this, I feel like you guys, I mean, you had really a large impact in this, and you worked in pre-pro pretty heavily too. Yeah. One of the big initial tasks was, let's just say the script's written, right? Yep. The writing was the big part. You get the writing done, so the blueprint's done. And then it's like, okay, we have these characters, we have these kind of extravagant locations, of which I remember looking at it and being like, come on, guys, is this even realistic?
We were like, you can do it.
Yeah. Taylor's like, then there's a helicopter that flies over to the window. And I'm like, okay.
No, it wasn't that bad.
It was almost
but
that
I
bad.
was very specific.
We talked about a
helicopter
at that one scene.
No. We talked about the helicopter after the fact.
A helicopter was talked about.
After the fact.
Okay.
When we were looking at the edit and you were like, I feel like it would just be so cool if there was a helicopter. And I'm like,
so
you're making
fault.
this more
It's
complicated.
my fault.
Just would like to note that.
Well, Tayler, why don't you talk a little bit, and feel free to chime in as well, Caroline. I just want to hear some of the elements. Like, what were some of the elements that we needed? We needed these actors, we needed these locations, these props. Go.
Yep. Okay, so one thing about the story is that the way Bobby is going to escape is kind of paralleling how Matt Damon's character escaped in Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
So we knew we needed a tool for him to escape through prison and a poster to cover up the hole in the wall. So those were two large elements. And then we decided that we wanted Gertie to be the one who delivered the tool and a journal for him to write in.
To be productive.
That was
emphasis
the
on the
fun
duct.
part. Yeah, we wrote a lot of HVAC puns in there that you kind of grasp at the end of it if you don't catch it the first time. But and we also knew that we really wanted to make sure that we were highlighting AAON throughout the entire piece, whether that be like actually seeing the logo but more often than not, just really highlighting the brand colors. Yeah. So that came into the wardrobe choices, to some of the prop choices that we had in different scenes. I mean, it was kind of the main elements were location, props, and then wardrobe, and then obviously finding our Bobby and Gertrude.
What were some of these locations?
We filmed at Retrospec Films in the studio, which that was the breakout scene, and then we knew we were going to have to do some visual effects of Bobby actually breaking through the cement, because the prison we found, which was downtown, which was an old abandoned prison that Brandon found, we knew we couldn't destroy the wall there. And then it was also going to be impossible to get how heavy was that thing? Like 1,000-ton cement wall into the location itself. So we shot some here, and we shot there's a scene where Bobby's actually going through some of the air ducts. So we brought in air ducts. AAON made them for us, and we set them up in the studio, and we filmed that there. And then we filmed in a abandoned prison in downtown Tulsa. Jason and I drove 4.5 hours to
Missouri.
5 hours to Missouri, because I found this really crazy old prison in Jefferson City, and we went and filmed the exterior there for our prison, and it's like perfect. And that was my crazy idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to go film 5 hours from here. And then we filmed at the Harweldon in
Harweldon.
We filmed at the Harweldon Mansion in Tulsa for Bobby's, he was capturing someone and stealing intellectual property.
Character
development scene. We filmed in the upstairs room at Retro. We filmed outside. We filmed at a grocery store.
The Mayo.
We filmed
bank. Well, it wasn't a bank. The Performing Arts Center.
The Performing Arts Center.
Was a bank.
Yes. There was a lot of locations.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm curious. Did you feel like any one location was like your favorite location?
All of them were super unique, but I really did love. The prison was crazy.
Yeah.
It was super cool being inside of the prison, and then the exterior of the prison in Jefferson City was beyond what I could have imagined it would be.
It's creepy.
And then I do think the Harweldon was another favorite, just because it's absolutely stunning. And when I was writing that scene, the evil lair, that's exactly where I was envisioning it to be. So it was cool that we actually got to use that location.
Yeah.
Those are probably my 3 favorite. And then I think setting up the lair scene with Bobby here, in his personal lair with the map, that was really fun, art direction wise, just because it was awesome.
Yeah, we got to put all his little personality pieces in there.
Yes.
It was fun.
Caroline, I'm curious, when we were, let's just say in hindsight, the edit's finished, what scene did you or do you like the most?
I really love all the ending stuff probably the most. His montage, well, can I say this?
It's fine.
Okay, his montage of him carving his exit, going through the ducts. I just thought that was so cool. Even on the day we were filming that, watching it on the monitor, seeing our crazy setup that we had in the studio of the cement wall, all the crazy ductwork, and then seeing how it looked really, really real on the monitor. That was really fun for me. And then just his final emotions at the last scene. I won't give it away, but the last scene where he's just in the midst of his plan and things aren't exactly going his way.
Yeah.
I just thought Seth, our Bobby, did a great job doing that. But I think I also like pretty much all of Gertie's moments. Just her sassiness, her montage at the beginning where we kind of meet her. I love her characteristics and just her characterization, so those are probably my favorite.
And we lucked out with some of the best actors.
Oh, yeah.
Seth and Renee just absolutely killed it, which we knew after we wrote the script. We're like, oh my gosh, this is really, really going to only be good if the acting is good.
Yep.
And I'm really happy that we found 2 incredible people to play those roles.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about the casting because we kind of had Seth in mind as we were writing it, so it was awesome that we got to use him as Bobby. He's such a Bobby. It worked perfectly. Renee was such a happy find for us. We kind of had a person in mind, but she wasn't really it, but she did better. I'm so glad that she is who we got to play the role. And then another fun piece of the casting is there's actually some AAON people that are sprinkled throughout the film.
Yeah.
So we have Dan Rhodes, which is he's one of the people that runs their NAIC, the lab. He's the security guard. We have a couple girls from marketing that are in the bar scene. And so it's fun to be able, to put our client in their own stuff. And then obviously we're all in it as well. So it's, it's fun to see the community of people that we know in the film itself. And then also our main actors that just did an excellent job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, to touch on some of the shooting things. Were you in it?
No.
Yes, you were. You were the mom. in the
Oh
grocery
yeah,
store.
my back. I forgot about that.
What? I was like thinking about it. I was like, yeah, like how did that not happen?
That's true. I did.
How did
push
you
the cart.
evade?
Yes.
I don't know, honestly. I was there every day.
Jeez. Next time.
Yeah, next time.
You needed to be there for the bar scene because
I
that was the one
know.
where everyone kind of got dragged into
I was
it.
on a different AAON shoot that day,
Yeah.
so I was
Oh,
like
man.
directing something else.
Yeah.
But
And Tay, where were you at?
the bar scene.
The bar scene.
Yeah, I was in the background.
That's
okay.
right.
I still had a cameo moment.
Yeah. I if you watch,
are you in it, Jason?
Yeah, if
I'm
you
just
watch a
kidding.
few times where there's reflective things, and if you
That's
look
Jason.
close, you'll see a camera with a guy beside
the
it.
guy like this.
That's me.
Yeah.
Who looks like he's angrily glaring. That's me.
That's so funny.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the creative stuff on the shooting aspect and the lighting side from my perspective. I feel like one thing I love about narrative stuff is that narrative allows you to motivate the way you shoot it and the way you light it based on how it would really be. Whereas like in commercial, problematically, everything's always beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gotta be bright and glorious.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect skin tone.
And what's funny is nothing against that, but that's not real life.
Right.
Real life's not like that. So even though I love shooting things in a beautiful fashion, narrative stuff can be really fun when it's like, no, this is supposed to be darker, or it's supposed to be fully silhouetted, or I don't need to worry about like eye lights being perfect and all those different factors. And so the approach on this, even though I knew I wanted to be stylized and I knew I was going to use more specular fixtures and have like harder, meaner shadows, and that was nice because usually in my job, I never get to do that. It's always like diffuse, 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 diffuse because everything needs to be like glowy. But there was no glowing in this one for me.
No glowing.
None.
Which was nice.
No
And
happy moments.
yeah, I think it added like a mood and an edge to it. And I really personally enjoyed the concrete wall setup.
So cool.
Yeah, that was
So
fun. And
cool.
You did such a good job
shooting
too.
creating concrete.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not every director would be able to do that. Like
No,
you
you
have
came
like
up
a
with
weird
that.
set of skills that
Yeah.
like lended it. It just worked
Special
out
for
for
He's
a
a
couple
part-time
things.
engineer.
yeah. Yeah, but it worked so well. Like I remember when he first started chiseling, we did like some practice chisels.
and
and it was
the
working
cement comes out.
perfect.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, I did not expect it to go this
And I
well.
think that was something that everyone was holding their breath over
Totally.
because if it
Yeah.
didn't work, it ruined the
whole
entire
thing.
storyline.
And the hard thing is like, and now I can't remember if we had him physically crawl through that hole.
He
We
did.
did.
Did he? Okay.
We
Yeah.
have footage of that.
Because
Yeah.
we have that pass through where it's like starts in the jail cell and then you pan over
Yeah,
and,
and
he's
it
in the
comes
air
over.
duct.
It was funny because that night that I was creating that, Tayler was in the studio with me, and I was laying rebar out, and I was laying out rebar in a hole big enough because without the rebar,
I didn't even think of that.
yeah, the whole thing would crumble without rebar. So I was like, I have to have rebar I have to hole that he can crawl through.
And I
but
think the rebar was
know.
from our home, right? Like
it was rebar I collected
Awesome.
from our house that was laying around, and so I bent it and laid it all in there and wired it all in there, and then we just started pouring concrete.
a man of many skills.
Yeah, but that was fun. It wasn't so much about me making a concrete wall as it was like shooting on sets is neat because you can pick angles that aren't real, that don't exist,
Yeah.
but they feel right, So I like that profile shot.
I love
And
that.
shooting on that ductwork was really fun. The ending scene's really fun. And I did enjoy the prison. I struggled with not having the full flexibility of like a big exterior. Right, we had to go
Yes.
get that.
We had to go get
which we
that.
did.
We did.
But when we didn't have it, it was bothersome.
Oh yeah.
The edit was
And-
not working.
No.
We were
It
like,
wasn't.
this isn't
Yeah,
it.
like there's no establishing shot. It doesn't feel intense, real, or scary.
Especially since the prison really needed to feel
It needed to feel
elite.
intense.
Like it needed to feel
yeah.
like the best of the best because
Yep.
that's the picture we were painting.
Right.
Especially since AAON is the
Right.
best of the best.
Yeah. So like that was a unique problem to solve. And then also like when we were in the prison, like we were sort of limited by because it was like a dilapidated old prison.
Yeah, it
So it
was.
was like you can't shoot this angle and you can't shoot that angle, and we don't have a ton of guards casted, etc. So like trying to be strategic and make it feel intense and real, but also not have like 30 inmates that are extras. I wish we would have,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
me
is what it
too.
is. So
Money's the thing.
It is.
that's always a thing.
Poor
you know?
Devin, who's like up in Gertie's like security camera room, scrubbing mildew.
I
off
was
of
up there
Oh,
with
yeah.
her. I spent like the
Yes.
whole day with her. We were like
Oh
just
my
looking at
gosh.
each other like
the
this is-
true MVP.
Oh
Filling me.
yeah,
Yeah.
the control room was disgusting.
Which when you see it, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they were
it's
like
perfect.
stalactites of like
calcium deposits coming off
out.
of vents.
Yes.
True movie magic in
Yeah,
that room.
I mean I don't even know how long that's been abandoned. 10, 20,
Too long.
Yeah.
30 years? I mean, how does it have stalactites?
I don't
Like, that's
know.
got to be 30 years.
It had like it passed health inspection for people to actually be inside
in
of
there,
it,
but
but like
But like,
Barely.
this
barely.
much.
Yeah.
like, we had to sign a waiver. So,
Okay,
no,
I was like, oh,
you
no.
know, I mean, it's normal though.
Yeah.
We had to release
Yeah.
them of liability. So yeah, we
Makes
did.
sense.
But that's normal. Well, you know, in summary, you know, I think this project was one of my favorite projects of the year. And honestly, it's funny. I feel like when I think about the future, I hope that we only get to do more stuff like that. Cause like, you know, so many people want to make movies, and maybe I will someday, but like actually making little movies for our clients is something I really enjoy. Cause it's like, it's fun to kind of do something that's not typical. And then you have a client that just is so excited. And this really is a groundbreaking, unique little weird thing that we're doing. So it's like, man, like I hope that we can put this out there and help it be successful because we want to do more. And I think we are doing more for AAON this year.
Yeah, we definitely
So-
are. And
so
I
yeah.
feel like this has given us confidence to like pitch this sort of thing
Yeah,
too,
for
you know,
sure. Yeah.
to show our clients that we can do more than just
Right.
the bright spot, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think even since then we have, like, we just did
Yeah.
a project that was similar in nature when it
Yes.
comes to narrative and just
Yep.
the boldness of the idea.
Right.
And so I think this can continue to be something we specialize in.
Yep.
So
Yep. I agree. Did you have anything else to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I love because like Kuratech, which is another narrative piece,
Yeah.
definitely still plays commercial sometimes, but this truly is like
It's a little movie.
it is a little movie,
Yeah.
and it's really awesome that we get to work with brands who want to be inventive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us today on Retrospect from the Archives. If you enjoyed what you heard or learned or saw, feel free to check out some of our other episodes. We have over 40 episodes, probably most easily found on our website, retrospectfilms.com, but they're also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the different places. So we thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and hopefully we'll see you on future episodes. See ya.